Need something to meal prep this week? Looks like you're going to make these lemon herb chicken bowls. Made up of marinated chicken thighs, roasted carrots, and garlic butter mashed potatoes, these come in at 642 calories with about 42 grams of protein. Here's how you make them. We're going to start off by marinating our chicken. Into a large bowl, you're going to add 1.5 tablespoons or 23 grams of olive oil, lemon juice, and Dijon mustard, 2 teaspoons or 6 grams each of garlic powder and onion powder, 2 tablespoons or 2 grams of dried oregano, 1 tablespoon or 1 gram of dried basil, and then 1 teaspoon or 6 grams of salt. Whisk that all together until it's well combined, and this is our chicken marinade. Next, you're going to cut up your chicken. In this recipe, we're going to use 2 pounds or 908 grams of boneless, skinless chicken thighs. Chicken thighs are preferred over chicken breast for meal prep because they are more forgiving and almost impossible to overcook. You'll trim away any excess skin or fat, and then cut these thighs into thin strips. Think similar to what you would get for fajitas. This will help put them into bite-sized pieces so you don't have to do any cutting in your meal prep dish, and it will help them cook faster in the skillet. Once you have them all sliced and diced, transfer them over to the bowl with your marinade and toss them around until each piece is sufficiently coated. I let mine marinate for about 30 minutes, but if you didn't want to wait, you could just cook it immediately if you really wanted to. While that chicken is taking its flavor bath, I can work on my potatoes. I skinned up some yellow potatoes until I had 2 pounds or 908 grams of peeled potato. Next, I roughly chopped my potatoes into 1 to 2 inch pieces. These are going to get boiled, so your cuts don't need to be all that exact. I transferred all those cut potatoes over to a large pot. Then I also added 4 cloves or 15 grams of crushed garlic. You can just smack the hell out of them to release it from the skin and then toss them into the pot. Fill your pot so that the water level is about 2 inches above the top of the potatoes, throw in a little salt, and then toss this on the stove over high heat. These will just boil until they are soft enough to be pierced with a fork and mashed. Next comes the carrots. This recipe calls for 1.5 pounds or 681 grams of carrots. I didn't bother peeling mine, I just made sure to wash them really well. Then I cut them into 1 to 1.5 inch pieces on a bias. You'll want these to be in fairly large pieces so that they don't shrivel up to nothing in the oven. And cutting them on the bias will help to increase the amount of flat surface area each piece of carrot has so that it sits nicer on the sheet pan and leads to more browning in the oven. Once they're all cut, move them over into a large bowl and add in 1 tablespoon or 15 grams of oil and a heavy pinch or 2 of salt. Then you can toss them around until the oil has completely coated each piece of carrot. Get out your largest sheet pan and spray it lightly with oil to prevent any stickage, and then spread your carrots out across the surface. These will get baked at 425 degrees Fahrenheit or 218 Celsius for about 20 minutes, flipping and turning halfway through. The last bit of chopping is optional for garnish, but if you wanted to add some green color to your final dish, you can chop up about 20 grams worth of parsley. Alright, and now that all that gross and disgusting vegetable horse hockey is out of the way, we can cook the chicken. Place a large skillet over medium-high heat and add in a splash of oil. You're going to cook this chicken in batches to not overcrowd the pan. Overcrowding the pan will lead to improperly cooked chicken and it won't brown up like you want it to. You need to ensure that you leave enough space in the bottom of the pan that allows water that is released from the chicken to evaporate. If you throw all the chicken into the pan at once, it's going to steam and not color up like it should. And the brown color is where the flavor comes from, so you don't want to miss out on that. Because this chicken was cut thin, it's going to cook fairly quickly. So after a couple of minutes, once it had cooked through, I transferred it over to a plate and added another batch of chicken to the pan. For the nutritional estimates of this recipe, I have accounted for an additional 1 tablespoon of oil to help you cook this chicken. Split that between your batches and use it as needed. I already know some of you will ask if you can use chicken breast instead of the chicken thighs here, and the answer is yes, but I don't recommend it. If you use chicken breasts, you need to be so very careful not to overcook them. And keep in mind that when you're reheating this meal in the microwave, you are essentially doing a second cook. And overcooked chicken breasts are dry and rubbery, and that's not going to be very fun for you to eat. My carrots had been going in the oven for about 12 minutes, so I pulled out the tray and tossed them around to get equal browning throughout. Those carrots went back into the oven for another 8 to 10 minutes. While that was happening, my third batch of chicken had finished up and it was now ready to go. This will get set aside until the other ingredients are ready to be plated. Next up, I took care of my potatoes. Once you can easily pierce them with a fork, they're ready to be mashed. So you can drain away the water and return them back to that same pot. To your potatoes, add in 5 tablespoons or 70 grams of butter and a half of a cup or 120 grams of 2% milk. Then get into that pot with a potato masher and start raising some hell. Get all those potatoes mashed up as well as any of the garlic cloves that you can find. The butter is what makes these taste awesome, so I have to suggest keeping in the full amount. Once they're relatively smooth, give it a taste test and adjust with salt and pepper to your liking. If you need to add some more milk at this step too, do that as well. Give it one more pass through with the masher and mix everything together, and then once you're happy with the flavor, they're ready to plate. This recipe makes 5 servings, so lay out 5 of your meal prep containers and divide all of the ingredients evenly between the 5. These mashed potatoes are so good that I've made them 4 times this week because I can't stop eating them. I'm snacking on full bowls of mashed potatoes like a young palate-restricted child. But these potatoes with the roasted carrots and the chicken are a perfect pairing. This meal has already rocketed to the top of my power rankings of my favorite meal prep recipes. Each serving of these lemon herb chicken bowls have about 642 calories with 42 grams of protein. Once they've cooled down and they're done steaming, you can pop on the lids and move these into the fridge for storage for the week. They will last for up to 5 days. A quick tip for you when you reheat this meal, or really any meal prep that has chicken, is to decrease the power level on your microwave to 50%. This helps the food to reheat more evenly and prevents the chicken from overcooking and getting that weird microwave chicken flavor. The full written version for how you can make these lemon herb chicken bowls with all the instructions and ingredients listed is published on my website, and that is linked down below in the description. And while you're there, you might as well sign up to become a member and get access to my full catalog of meal prep recipes. So if you need something to meal prep this week to help you maintain your New Year's goals, give this one a shot. Now subscribe to the channel if you're not yet, or else I'm going to get fired. Goodbye.